Welcome to the 2024 Focus on Early Learning Literacy Workshop, a synchronous module. This module was created for early childhood teaching teams who were unable to attend the August 14th in-person session and those who would like to review the content from that session. This learning module will include time for individual exploration and reflections, and a short text as expert to support your learning. At times, you will be invited to pause the recording to complete these activities. There are 5 opportunities throughout the module to pause and reflect. The pause and reflect activities will take approximately 5 to 10 minutes each. Before you begin, please watch a welcome video from our leadership team and a special message from an FCPS family. After these videos, you will find links to resources, which include a participant guide. You will need to make a copy of this participant guide to support your learning during the session. The Director's Welcome video and message from the Wilkinsons can be found on the FCPS Pre-K and Early Head Start Google site under the Professional Learning tab. After the videos, you will find links to the resources that include the participant guide. Please pause the recording now to complete the 3 Getting Started activities. 1. Watch the Director's Welcome. 2. Watch the message from the Wilkinsons. And 3. Make a copy of the participant guide found in the session resources for August 2024 section. Return to this session once you have completed the 3 tasks. This should take you about 10 minutes to complete. We have 3 key learning opportunities for today. We will build a shared understanding of phonological awareness and alphabet knowledge. We will identify best practices to support phonological awareness development and inclusive literacy learning opportunities for all children. And we will explore pre-K curriculum resources to support literacy instruction. As learners, we represent various roles and programs. We also serve children with a wide range of experiences and abilities. During this session, remember these 2 important ideas. Our early childhood programs serve children ages birth through 5 years, and foundational literacy development begins at birth. We must be intentional in our planning and interactions with children to ensure that we differentiate the learning experiences to meet the needs of all children by considering how the learning experiences might be differentiated so that they are appropriate and accessible to all. Let's start by taking this true or false quiz. Take a moment to read each of these questions and decide if you feel the statement is true or false. Number 1. Phonological awareness involves identifying and manipulating units of oral language. This is true. Number 2. Phonological awareness includes play activities that are oral and auditory. This is also true. Remember, the key phrases here are oral language and oral and auditory. Phonological awareness is the ability to detect, manipulate, or analyze the auditory aspect of spoken language. And number 3, children can participate in phonological awareness activities before they know letter names and sounds. This is also true. Infants babble sounds and toddlers begin to make syllables and words, for example, baba. All young children can enjoy listening to and participating in songs, rhymes, and finger plays, long before being able to identify letters and/or sounds. These are 3 key points when thinking about phonological awareness. Please consider these working agreements to gain the most positive results from this learning experience. Put away distractions and minimize background noise. Be open to new ideas, viewpoints, and the possibilities of how this learning might impact your instructional practices, and take notes to refer back to when in conversations with colleagues. Let's review our agenda for today. We've already started with our welcome, grounding, and logistics. Next, we'll review some literacy data highlights and our division-wide goals. Then, we'll build a shared understanding of phonological awareness and the developmental progression of these skills from birth to 5 years. After that, we'll identify some best practices to support phonological awareness for all of our youngest learners. At the end of the workshop, you will have time to explore curriculum resources to support literacy instruction and reflect on the learning from today. Goal 1 of the FCPS Strategic Plan, Strong Start, Pre-K-12, ensures that every student will develop foundational academic skills, curiosity, and a joy for learning. necessary for success in pre-K through 12th grade. Goal 2 addresses our commitment to providing inclusive experiences where student health and well-being are prioritized. And Goal 3 focuses on our commitment to high academic standards. The FCPS Equitable Access to Literacy Plan further outlines our commitment to a division-wide, comprehensive, and culturally responsive pre-K-12 literacy program that uses evidence-based practices, is grounded in science-based reading research, and intentionally expands learning opportunities in accordance with students' needs in the specific areas of phonological awareness and phonics, eliminating disproportionate outcomes based on race, gender, zip code, ability, socioeconomic status, or languages spoken at home. We encourage you to read more about the strategic plan and the Equitable Access to Literacy Plan on the FCPS website. Links to these resources can also be found on your participant guide. This important work cannot be done overnight. Here is a visual representation of the timeline for implementation of our FCPS strategic plan, the Equitable Access to Literacy Plan, and the Virginia Literacy Act. The strategic plan is our North Star. It is our goal that all students are reading on grade level by the end of 3rd grade. The Equitable Access to Literacy Plan is our roadmap to ensure success of all students, specifically those whose needs we have not met yet. The Virginia Literacy Act ensures that we are using evidence-based literacy instruction aligned to science-based reading research. Zooming into that strong start, we'd like to take a moment to highlight a literacy data celebration. Here you will see a snapshot of data from 4-year-olds in pre-K from last year. Notice the student progress from fall to spring. The percentages that you see here are of students whose scores were within the growing or strong skill developmental band for the letter names and letter sound subtests, and those that met grade level expectations for name writing subtest with a raw score of 4 or 5. Students were assessed in the fall and spring of last year using the VALS Virginia Language and Literacy Screener. Teachers analyzed data from this assessment in quarterly data dialogue conversations. In those quarterly meetings, they considered implications for instruction and were intentional about how to embed authentic guided play experiences to support literacy learning. Teachers shared that coaching conversations, PD opportunities, and time to reflect and plan with colleagues were supportive to student success. The literacy experiences in our early Head Start classrooms have also had positive impact on this data and overall student outcomes. As a division, we continue to refine our practices and strive to ensure all students have access and opportunity to high-quality literacy instruction. This year, all early childhood programs will administer the VALS, and we look forward to celebrating our literacy data in the spring. Now we will spend some time considering the progression of phonological awareness development. But first, let's zoom out to review the 3 foundational areas of literacy. There are 3 foundational areas that are strongly predictive of how well children will learn to read: oral language, phonological processing, and print knowledge. In our professional learning session 2 years ago, we focused on oral language development. Last year, we focused on print knowledge and writing. This year, we will focus on phonological processing and alphabet knowledge, which falls under print knowledge. Under each foundational area are 2 to 3 early literacy factors. Current research shows that these factors have the strongest impacts in later reading proficiencies. Take a moment to read them to yourself. For oral language, the literacy factors are listening comprehension, grammar, and expressive language. Print knowledge is the awareness of print concepts, letter learning, and writing. The literacy factors are alphabet knowledge and writing. We will be thinking about alphabet knowledge, the knowledge of letter names and sounds. Phonological processing is the ability to understand and use the sound system of a language. The early literacy factors for phonological processing are phonological awareness, the ability to detect, manipulate, or analyze the auditory aspect of spoken language. Rapid automatic naming, the ability to rapidly name sequences of letters or digits and/or objects or shapes in random order. And phonological memory, the ability to remember spoken information for short periods of time. We'll spend most of our time thinking about phonological awareness, which is part of phonological processing. Phonological processing is the ability to understand and use the sound system of a language. It allows us to process oral language when listening and speaking, and it allows us to process written language with reading and writing. Even before babies are born, they have sensitivity to sounds, which is why it's not shocking that newborns are able to distinguish their mother's voices. All of this is part of developing phonological awareness, a key component to phonological processing. But wait, let's step back because there are actually three components to phonological processing abilities. There's phonological rapid naming, the ability to rapidly name sequences of letters and digits and/or objects and shapes in random order. And there's phonological memory, the ability to remember spoken information for short periods of time. And finally, there's phonological awareness, ability to detect, manipulate, or analyze the auditory aspect of spoken language. Now we made this circle larger because this component is most strongly related to literacy development, and it includes the conscious awareness of rhyme, syllables, and individual speech sounds or phonemes. That awareness of an ability to manipulate the individual speech sounds, phonemes, is called phonemic awareness. With phonological awareness, the focus is on sounds, not letters. You'll know that it's a phonological awareness activity if you can do it with your eyes closed. In early childhood, we strive to create communities of learners where students see themselves as communicators, readers, and writers. We are focusing on these three identities because of their interconnectedness with each other as it relates to literacy development. We intentionally plan learning experiences and monitor progress towards the development of these identities. The behaviors associated with these identities directly align with portrait of a graduate attributes and skills. Take a minute to read these observable behaviors associated with these three identities. As communicators, our young children express and listen attentively to ideas and share their wants and needs. As readers, they learn how print and books work, explore a variety of texts, and share their ideas about books with others. And as writers, they share ideas by talking, drawing, and writing. Think about how the foundational area of phonological processing supports the identities of communicators, readers, and writers. For example, when we think about the communicators being able to express themselves and listen to others, we see how important it is for children to first be able to hear and manipulate sounds of our spoken language. They have to have strong auditory skills developed through phonological awareness. Fostering these identities and associated behaviors ensures school readiness and success beyond school. This quote reminds us why phonological awareness is so important. It goes on to say that as children gain an understanding that oral language can be broken into smaller sounds, known as phonological awareness, they can apply this information by connecting individual sounds, phonemes, to the letters or groups of letters, graphemes, that represent these sounds. Take a moment to read the quote on this slide, holding on to the idea that phonological awareness learning experiences should be playful and fun. Phonological awareness typically develops on a continuum. Children begin by noticing larger units of sound, like words and syllables, and progressing to smaller units of sound, like phonemes. A key phrase to highlight here is typically develops. Keep in mind that children develop phonological awareness at their own pace. Some may acquire skills quickly, while others may require repetition and extending practice. We will now take some time to read about the developmental progression of phonological awareness. This resource, in its entirety, is linked to your participant guide. For today, we will read a short excerpt and discuss. Everyone will read about the developmental progression of writing on pages 8 and 9, and then you will choose a section of interest, babies, toddlers, or preschoolers, on how to support children as they develop phonological awareness. As you are reading, take a moment to review the tables from all three sections. Note that the chart for preschoolers is at the top of page 14. Pause the recording to read independently and jot down a few big ideas on your participant guide. Return to this session once you have completed this activity. This should take you about 10 minutes to complete. Now we will move into our second learning opportunity for today and identify some best practices to support phonological awareness development and inclusive literacy learning opportunities for all children. As you listen to this quote from Letters for Early Childhood, choose a word or phrase that stands out to you. Phonological awareness skills typically begin to develop in young children long before they enter kindergarten. There are many opportunities to include playful, developmentally appropriate phonological awareness instruction into everyday routines and activities at home and school. For many children, especially those with language delays or who are at risk of having learning disabilities, specific instruction is required to help them develop an understanding of the structures of speech sounds and words, which in turn is necessary for understanding how speech is represented in written form. Developing appropriate learning of phonological awareness skills in young children puts them on the ready road to reading and writing. You may have chosen words like playful and appropriate, or phrases like specific instruction is required. A few phrases that stand out are long before kindergarten and everyday routines. Let's begin to think about how this might look in our early childhood classrooms. We will be highlighting 3 types of learning to support phonological awareness and alphabet knowledge. First, we'll think about the daily routines that provide opportunities for children to practice phonological awareness skills in an authentic way, such as music and movement, wordplay during greeting time, read-alouds, and intentional literacy-focused transitions. Then we'll think about the explicit instruction of Heggerty lessons and creative curriculum lessons in early Head Start with specific phonological awareness and alphabet knowledge components. These lessons are systematic and follow a specific scope and sequence. And finally, we'll think about the independent or collaborative work time during literacy centers or learning centers for early Head Start that reinforce literacy skills in new or different contexts. Materials can be portable, temporary, or permanent, and the activities should be engaging, accessible, and familiar to students. Take a look at this snapshot of the types of literacy experiences children engage in during different parts of the day to support phonological awareness and print knowledge. In the far right column are resources that can be used to support those experiences. Notice that some of the resources come directly from our Pre-K Day in the Life Resource Hub, while some are new supplemental resources such as Heggerty and Alphabet Animal Friends. We will review these supplemental resources in the next few slides. Take a few more moments to review this slide independently. Are these parts of the day clearly defined in your classroom? Do you plan for the types of learning experiences listed here? And during your planning, do these resources help guide your thinking when it comes to setting up intentional learning experiences to support foundational literacy skills? This next activity is great for collaborative planning in CLTs at your schools or with early childhood teaching teams across schools. We encourage you to bring this activity back to your larger team for discussion throughout the year. For today, you will have time to reflect on your own practice. Consider the unique characteristics of your school and students while making connections to the explicit links to phonological awareness and print knowledge throughout the day. Reflect on how you might incorporate explicit experiences to support phonological awareness and print knowledge. Compare your daily schedule to the sample day in the life. Pause the recording and use the questions here to help guide your reflections. There is space on your participant guide to capture your notes. Return to this session once you have completed the 3 tasks. This should take you about 5 minutes to complete. Now that you've had time to reflect on your literacy routines, let's take a closer look at the newly adopted resources we will be using this year to support phonological awareness and print knowledge through explicit instruction and literacy stations. Heggerty lessons will serve as the explicit instruction for phonological awareness and alphabet knowledge. Alphabet Animal Friends will support literacy stations and literacy routines. Let's take a look at both of these resources. Phonological awareness can be taught. Heggerty provides explicit teaching through a systematic scope and sequence. Through a 35-week progression of weekly lessons, children are introduced to 5 phonological awareness skills: rhyming, initial phoneme blending, blending, segmenting, and final phoneme isolation. They are also introduced to 2 early literacy skills: alphabet knowledge and language awareness. Heggerty instruction lesson plans include 3 days of instruction per week with a target lesson length of 6 to 8 minutes. Consider the needs of your students and aim for shorter lessons, especially at the beginning of the school year. The goal is exposure to these skills, not mastery. Keeping this in mind will help to keep the lessons brief. Follow the script in the manual. It provides explicit, clear teaching language and hand motions that children will begin to understand after much repetition and practice. Keep the manual in your lap while teaching the lesson to ensure fidelity. And finally, it's important to remember that children will have multiple entry points to access the learning. Some will show engagement through listening, while others may participate by responding orally. The lessons are designed for children to hear the skill being modeled by the teacher multiple times, and some will require additional practice with hearing and listening before they begin to recognize and produce independently. Here are some other important considerations to keep in mind when using this supplemental resource. Plan in advance by reading the lesson overviews, daily lesson plans, and using the QR codes for tutorials. Use visual scaffolds like Elkin boxes or felt and practice the hand motions before teaching the lessons. Names are a powerful tool for literacy learning, but not all names make good keywords. For names like Jasmine, Jason, and One, give a clear, simple explanation. Jasmine and Jason start with a J sound, just like the words in our alphabet book. Jose's name starts with a H sound. That's another sound the letter J can make. After the simple explanation, move on. Always remember exposure, not mastery. Some letter sounds are continuous. For example, S, but others make a stop sound like B or T. These sounds are pronounced briefly. Try to avoid adding to the end of sounds. We must be very intentional when modeling the pronunciation of sounds and even explain what we are doing with our mouths and lips when making the sound. Heggerty suggests that the lessons are taught as a warm-up to an experience with print. For example, you might teach the Heggerty lesson after lunch and then transition into literacy stations, or before reading one of the Alphabet Animal Friends books. The Day in the Life highlights the following parts of the day for teaching Heggerty lessons, prior to literacy stations and prior to a large group experience. It is an expectation that all early childhood programs are using Heggerty with fidelity 3 times a week. Establish a consistent routine and make it your own with rituals, like all done, when moving on to the next activity. Consider the implementation of Heggerty when co-planning for flexible and mixed groupings. In just a moment, you will watch a demonstration video of Week 1, Lesson 1. The demo video is for teacher training only. The actual Heggerty lessons should be taught in person, not using videos. Before we look at the demo, take a moment to skim the lesson on pages 2 and 3 of your manual. If you do not have a manual, please refer to the sample Heggerty lessons in your participant guide. Notice the teacher script along the left column and the skill focus in the column to the right. For now, only look at Week 1, Day 1. Notice that the teacher in the video is looking down. She is reading her manual. Remember, you are not expected to memorize these lessons, and it will take time to learn the hand motions. Give yourself grace as you are learning. Also, notice in this demo, we did not see the alphabet knowledge skill, singing the alphabet. This part of the lesson is on page 3 of your manual. An alphabet chart is not required for this part of the lesson. Remember, phonological awareness focuses on the auditory aspects of spoken language, so the focus is on listening and speaking and singing. You also have access to skill tutorial videos and resources using the QR codes in your manual. Refer to these resources during your planning time each week. Pause the recording and refer to your participant guide to access the link to this video. Return to this session once you have completed these tasks. This activity should take you about 5 minutes to complete. Alphabet Animal Friends classroom sets have been purchased for every early childhood classroom. These materials are a part of the larger basal adoption in K-6 and will support phonemic awareness, concepts about print, and print knowledge skill development. Alphabet Animal Friends should be embedded throughout the day and can be used in a variety of ways. For example, you might read a lap book during a large group or small group experience, and later that same day or week, children might read the matching small book during books and bathroom time, literacy stations, or work time. In addition to the teaching card and teacher-parent handbook included with a set, Each lap book has suggestions for use inside the front cover. Take time to familiarize yourself with the Alphabet Animal Friends books. These books provide opportunities to explore rhythm and rhyme, in addition to letter names and initial letter sounds. They also provide opportunities to build vocabulary and strengthen concepts about print. Reflect on how the books have been written and how they can support phonological and phonemic awareness. Here are some other important considerations to keep in mind when using this supplemental resource. Alphabet Animal Friends focuses more on the phonemic awareness component of phonological awareness. Remember, phonemic awareness is the ability to manipulate the smallest unit of speech, the phoneme. This might look like phoneme isolation, listening for the same beginning sound in words, or phoneme identification, repeating words that start with the same sound, and phoneme discrimination, selecting a word in a group that does not belong, like in this example. Sun, sip, man, soccer. The books pair nicely with Heggerty. On the Google site, there is a document to show alignment and pacing with consideration to the Heggerty lessons. Like Heggerty, consider this resource when co-planning for flexible and mixed groupings. The teacher card and teacher parent handbook has 30 activities that can be used in literacy stations and at home. After reading to your class, display the lap book and small books around your room in places that are easily accessible for students to revisit the books often. Now that we've learned a bit about our new resources, let's take some time to explore all of the pre-K curriculum resources to support literacy instruction. In just a moment, you will choose your own adventure for exploring curriculum resources. During this time, please review these 3 resources and note the following highlights. The pre-K curriculum maps have an updated format with literacy components in the learning experiences. Curriculum maps will continue to be updated throughout the year. The Sample Day in the Life and Day in the Life Resource Hub has detailed what, why, hows, videos, and examples from FCPS early childhood classrooms, articles to deepen your understanding, and additional resources to support parts of the day to include literacy stations, books in bathroom, working with the alphabet, and interactive read-alouds. The Heggerty manuals will be delivered to schools. Linked to your participant guide is a sample of some of the lessons. On the Google site are additional resources including hand motions and scaffolds, plus an Alphabet Animal Friend alignment. The pre-K curriculum maps and Day in the Life resources can be found on the pre-K Google site. From the homepage, follow this path. Curriculum and Best Practices drop-down menu. A Day in the Life takes you to all DAO resources to include the hub. Curriculum Resources takes you to the curriculum maps for all 4 quarters. Also under the curriculum maps is the Phonological Awareness and Alphabet Knowledge section. This takes you to the Heggerty and Alphabet Animal Friends resources. Thank you for your time and attention during this session. As a final thought, keep this quote in mind. Every word you hear, say, read, or write goes through the phonological system. Developing and enhancing children's phonological skills is a vital aspect of literacy learning. Not only is it vital, but it can also be fun. We hope that you will take some additional time on your own and with your school team to reflect on how you will support the development of phonological skills this school year. Remember, it is a journey for the children and us, the teachers. Some of you will be continuing your literacy learning journey through one of the letters for early childhood cohorts this year. Over the next few years, the letters training will be rolled out to all early childhood teachers. As your Heggerty manuals arrive at your schools, begin to implement those lessons 3 times per week. Incorporate the Alphabet Animal Friends books into your daily routines, small and large group times, and pair the books with the Heggerty lessons when appropriate. Ongoing coaching and support will be provided for all EC teaching teams this year. Don't hesitate to reach out with any questions, concerns, and suggestions. We look forward to hearing about the amazing literacy experiences happening in your classrooms. Please share pictures and videos as you try new things this year.